I'm Michael Forrest, and I play Apollo.
When was the last time you watched the episode Who Mourns for Adonais, which you were the guest star of?
Well, as a matter of fact, I saw it yesterday. Late yesterday afternoon at the studio. They were playing it, and I had not seen it for quite a while. It's not like I sit there and run this segment. So, although I have the segment, I don't actually put it and play it. So, I watched it yesterday afternoon, and it's always an experience to see yourself so many years later, or so many years before when I did the original segment. And you have an emotional reaction to it, because it's like you're looking at somebody who actually doesn't exist anymore. I mean, that character, that person, I mean, it's the same me, but I mean, it's so many years ago, and the changes have been, it's the same, not the least drastic, you know. I certainly had more hair, it was black, I was a lot younger, and whatever one other adjectives might say what I was, I don't know, but it was an experience.
In your wildest dreams, would you have guessed that more than 40 years later you'd be reprising that role?
Never. As a matter of fact, when that show was done, it was a very unpopular show. It was, I think at one point it was ranked 50th on the list. That'll give you an idea of how unpopular it was. And it was originally scheduled to go 5 years. It only went 3 years, and they had to cancel it. I was in the second year, so I never dreamed that such a thing that is happening today was going to take place. Just no way.
When you were filming that episode of Star Trek more than 40 years ago, was it just another day at the office for you, or did you know that it was something special?
It was just another job, albeit a better job than what I had been doing in terms of the writing. It was better. And of course my costume was really cute. My tutu, my little gold tutu. A couple of weeks before, I had done a Western in which I was getting beat up and pulling a gun out of a holster and riding a horse, and I forget which Western it was, but at any rate, then, 2 or 3 weeks later, whatever it was, I'm now in a gold tutu, strutting around. But it was, it was just a job, and as soon as that job was over, I was looking for another job, as all actors were in those days. It's just, as I say, though, it was kind of above what I usually did.
When was it that you first got a sense that there was a fandom behind Star Trek?
I was in Rome at the time. I was working and living in Rome, and I was standing in a line to go into a movie theater, and as I was waiting there was a woman down the line, kept turning around and looking in my direction. And I thought, is she looking at me? I'm not sure. I kept looking around, who's behind me that she's looking at. Pretty soon she came up to me. She walked back and said, "Excuse me, are you an actor?" And I said, "Yes." "Did you do a Star Trek?" Excuse me. And I said, "Yes." "Were you Apollo?" I said, "Yes." She practically fainted dead away. And she said, "Oh my goodness," and so forth and so on. And I thought, wow. That evening I was at a dinner party at a friend's, and there was another young woman who had just a couple of days before had come in from the States. And I related this incident at the theater, movie house, and she said, "Well, don't you know?" And I said, "No, what?" "This show has become a cult." I said, "You're kidding." And she said, "No, it's one of the biggest shows in America right now." I couldn't believe it, but then that's why this woman had reacted so strongly to seeing me there and having recognized me as Apollo. So that was really the first clue I had that the show was so popular.